செட்டிங்ஸ்லயே வருதா?
இதுக்கு அப்புறம் தான் நீங்க வந்து அத போயிட்டு பசங்க லாக் அட்மின் கொடுக்கணும் எல்லாத்துக்குமே.
இது பார்ட்டிசிபென்ட்ஸ் தானே சொல்றீங்க?
ஆக்சுவலா டாக்டர் சீசன் வந்து இதுல அப்படியே நம்ம கோ-ஹோஸ்ட் பண்றாங்க.
சரிங்க.
இது நான் இன்ட்ரோடக்ஷன்
போயிருக்கேன்.
சரி, அதை வந்து போன தடவை அதுல 6 பேர் போன தடவை வரல இல்லையா? இந்த இதுல கனெக்ஷன் அப்படிதான் வரும். அதுவும் இல்லையா? இது வந்து இப்போ இது ஆனதுக்கு அப்புறமா அது இன்னும் இனிமேதான் வருவா. ஆக்சுவலா டைம் இருக்கு இல்லையா? இன்னும் அதனால கொஞ்சம் டைம் இருக்குன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ஸ்கிரீன் ஷேரிங் இஸ் ஃபாஸ்ட். ஸ்ரீராமா ஜஸ்ட் என்ன கூப்பிட்டு பாருங்களேன்.
ஐடியா மேம்?
அது கேட்டுருங்க. எல்லாருமே வந்து ரெக்கார்டிங் இருந்து என்ன அது யாரையும் மெசேஜ் லேட் நைட்ல சம்மந்தமே நாம ரெஜிஸ்டர் பண்ணிருக்கா வந்து ஆட் பண்ணது என்ன குரூப்னு கேட்டுட்டு இருக்கேன்.
எனக்கும் புரியல. இந்த மாதிரி பேரு நம்ம பார்க்கலையே, இல்லை நமக்கு தெரியாம ஏதாவது நடக்குதான்னு சொல்றேன். கவர்ஸும்
அவர் தான் சொன்னார் இந்த மாதிரி நீங்க போடுங்க வரும்னு.
கனெக்ஷன் ஆமா சார். கனெக்ஷன் as time out, please try again with this. When you go to live video, sir. போயிருக்கு சார். ஆமா சார். அதே சார்.
ஆனா எங்க பார்ட்டிசிபென்ட்ஸ் காமிக்கலையே.
இருக்கு சார், இருக்கு சார். ஆமா சார்.
பண்ணிக்கட்டுமா? அது வந்து ஓகே. அப்போ ஆக்சுவலாக நம்மளோட இது ஸ்க்ரீன் வந்து வராது இல்லையா இப்போதைக்கு? ஓகே ஓகே ஓகே. Sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning, good morning. Can you see me?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me well?
Yes, sir. Very well, sir.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, sir. It was really nice to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you. So we're starting on time.
Sir, actually we have to, sir, but the participants have not yet come on.
Is it? So have you given the pre-test or something like that?
Yes, sir. Actually, we are giving it in the Google form only.
Oh,
So
okay.
and
Okay.
pre-test questions are ready, and it is shared with them in the group, sir. Or we have created a WhatsApp group and Google group.
Okay. Fine.
Link to them, sir.
So anyway, I'll be here. You let me know when to start.
Sure, sir.
And,
yeah.
Shall I share my slides and see if it's working?
Yes, sir. It will be good, sir. Yeah.
So how do I just share right here?
Sir, I think I'll make you co-host, sir. So that
then
yes, sir.
I think I can share the screen. It says. I already have. I think I can share the screen.
Okay, sir. Now we have made you co-host also, sir. So anytime you can share the screen as well.
Now your screen is there, so I'm sharing my screen.
Yes, sir.
Is that okay? Let's see what happens. This is your screen, I think.
Yes, sir. Actually,
You have to come out and then allow me to
okay.
share it.
I'll stop sharing, sir. We'll check.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, now I will share. And so, whiteboard leadership. Can you share? Can you see the slide now?
Yes, sir. Now it is coming. Yes, sir. It is fine.
Correct, perfect.
It's coming then. Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. So I'll stop the sharing.
Okay, sir.
And then you can tell me what to do.
Yes, sir. It is coming out well, sir. There is no problem.
Okay, wonderful. So I'll be here. I'll hang around here. You let me know whenever you're ready. Yeah. So
I'm really sorry. Actually, we are now again reminding the participants.
No, how many participants do you have?
14, sir. 14.
14 participants.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I put message also. I'll call the. Then the Mar College.
A very good morning to all of you. today we are having the second session of this, the leadership course, and I welcome you all for this course. Today we are having a speaker with us who is a very eminent person in the field of medical education. He is Dr. John Stephen from St. John's Medical College. I hope all of you got the link for the pre-test and you have all completed it. I'll just pass on to the introduction of the speaker, and I'll request sir to start with this class because he has been waiting for quite some time and he was very punctual and he was the first person to join for the session. So I don't want him to wait for a longer period of time. So today introduction, we'll ask sir to speak. After that, we can have the interactive session, post-test and the introduction about the course because some of the participants have joined in today's session only. So for their benefit, we will share the introduction once again with them. So, a brief introduction about Dr. John Stephen. Sir is Professor of Dermatology in St. John's Medical College and he is the Vice Dean of Postgraduate Studies. He has been the HOD of Department of Medical Education there and has a minimum of 20 years of teaching experience, and he is a doyen in this field with 12 years of medical education leadership. He is a convener of NMC and a member of the NMC's expert group. We welcome you, sir, and we apologize for the delayed starting. And thank you so much for joining us. We are looking forward to hear you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, good morning. And should I share my slides?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. I think you need to unshare, I think. Or should I share?
Sir, I have stopped sharing.
Yeah, okay. Can you see my slide?
Yes, sir, it has come.
Okay, fine. Good morning, everybody. And thank you, Dr. Soumya, for giving me this opportunity to the Mahatma Gandhi Medical College and Research Institute, as well, the Medical Education Department there. And really happy to participate in your program. And and thank you for the words of introduction as well. So the 5 levels of leadership is what the topic says. So we will go ahead and start with the session. So what is leadership? Can you see my slides or is it, yeah?
Yes, sir, it is visible. Yes, sir.
What is leadership? And I actually did some search, Google search on what is leadership. And even if you put it in inverted commas, it gives you something like 13 lakh definitions. Okay, so there are as many definitions of leadership as there are leaders. So what we're going to do as I did some reading. I did quite a bit of reading on leadership. And the thing that strongly came to my mind, which I sort of relate to quite strongly, is what John Maxwell calls everything rises and falls with leadership. Okay, everything. And as you read more and more about leadership, and I began to relate to this particular sentence and said that it looks like for anything that happens in the department, in the institution, in the country perhaps, okay, everything depends on leadership. And you begin to feel more and more strongly how important leadership is. And I have sort of boiled down to this. I don't know how many of you have had read this. I quite like what he says and relate to what he says. And I've picked few things from his book. And we want to share that today in terms of trying to discuss leadership. There's so much to talk about leadership, and you have an entire certificate course that has been designed for you. So we're going to talk a few aspects from John Maxwell's book on leadership. So what he talks about is, this book is about the laws of leadership. I picked 2 laws that we can discuss today. And the first law is what he calls the law of the lid. Basically, what he says is that how well you lead determines the way you succeed. Now, what does this law of the lid say? The law of the lid says that you as a leader, your capacity to lead in whatever field you are, that is the lid. Now, let us say that I am an average leader. Let's say in a scale of 1 to 10, my leadership level is around 5. Let us say my leadership level is around 5. If my leadership level is around 5, the law of the lid states that the people under you, the faculty under you, the people who follow you, can go only up to level 4. If you are at level 5, they can go only up to level 4. So that is the law of the lid. Now, we can relate this to any field actually. I mean, we can say that your competence in leadership, if it's at 5, the followers can reach 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, but not more than that. Okay. Now, that's what the law says. Now, I can say it like this. As you increase your ability to lead, you raise the lid on your potential effectiveness. Now, the downside to that is, if you as the head of the department, let us say, for example, you're a surgeon, and your ability to lead, your ability to model, you are at a competency level of 5, it's very difficult for you to get your faculty under you who you lead to go beyond 5. That's the downside. So your lid limits the growth of your department or the institution or whatever. But the good side to that is it can change. If you increase your level from 5 to 6 to 7, maybe to 8, the amount of growth that your followers have will increase. That's what this slide shows. If the lid increases, if your competency level increases, the amount of potential that you have for growth in your department or your thing increases. So if at this point, if I were to ask you, what do you think, if there is one thing that you have to do as a leader, if there is one important thing that you have to do to improve your department, your institution, wherever it may be, what is that one thing you need to do? The one thing most people, I mean, there may be so many things that can come to your mind, but the message in this slide is the one most important thing that you have to change is yourself. If you change your leadership level, the potential that is there in your department, in your institution, of people that you lead will increase. Now that is called the law of the lid. And it will relate to whatever situation you're talking about, whether it is in your country or outside, whether it's in a medical college institution or it's in other institutions. Law of the lid is a law. That's how it works. If you set a thing, if you're the person who leads, and let us say, for example, you have 3 publications and you want your people in the department to be doing a lot of research and publication, it's going to be very difficult for you to even think of all the ways in which grants can be written. It doesn't, that your capacity actually puts a lid. So if you want to make your department function better, you have to increase your level of the lid. So that's the first law of the lid. A leader is born. Of course, I mean, the question, of course, is, do some people, are born leaders, and they do leadership very well? In some ways, it may be true, and it may be true. Some people have those traits. They inherently have that knack of leading people. They have the charisma. People are drawn to them. Yes, maybe some people have, but a majority of what a leadership is actually something that can be learned, and we learn and we grow as we go through our careers and as we go through our. So the second law actually relates to this. Now, this is something that I know you may relate to as well. The more you know, the more you don't. Okay, you know that you don't know. Okay. Now, when you look back at your own lives, you can see, I know, for example, I put my foot into medical education some 12 years, 15 years back, and I thought I knew quite a bit. But as I began to do more and more reading, more and more training programs, and as you began to increase your learning, the more you started to know about medical education, the more I realized I don't know. And I'm sure you all will relate to this. But the good thing about this is, the more you get into that area, the more you know about it. Yes, the more you realize that you don't know. But what happens is the overall capacity of growth and the overall capacity actually increases. We are looking at the black side and saying that we don't know these bits. And the more you know, the more you don't know. But if you look at the overall picture, as you grow, the capacity for growth also increases. The size of the black area that you can grow into increases. So the more you know, the more you don't know, yes, but as you move along, it increases. So that leads us to the second law. That is the law of process. This is about leadership. The first was the law of the lid. The second is the law of process. The law of process states this, that leadership is not a one-time event. I was given the vice dean position last year. I can't tell myself I became a leader. It doesn't happen like that. Now you have taken a course, a certificate course on leadership. At the end of finishing that course, you got a certificate in leadership. You don't become a leader. Leadership is a process. As you go along, you begin to increase that lid above and above. Leadership is a process. That's the second law. When you talk about leadership as a process, there are many things that we can talk about, but I've narrowed it down to two I think is exceptionally important. Okay. One is culture. The other is vision. Now, as a leader, I'm sure you would have thought about this. As a leader, all of us should give our department people, our faculty under us, the followers, a vision, right? If I were to close my eyes and think about my department or my institution and say, 15 years from now, I imagine my institution, my department to be like this. Okay, my St. John's is already here. I want it to be in 15 years' time, somewhat like Harvard. Cutting edge surgery is being done. There's major research happening. There's a lot of collaboration going on. The campus has grown, many, many more courses. I just close my eyes and imagine what it could be in 15 years' time. Now that's vision. I have an image in my mind. Now that's vision, right? So if that is vision, what is culture? If vision is what we see, what we look to and what we can imagine it to be, culture is what we do. Okay. And for the law of process, that's what's important. Culture is more important than vision. Yes, we need to have a vision. If you don't have a vision, you don't know where you want to go, you may go somewhere. Okay, you need a vision. Okay, you definitely need to have a vision. And the vision is the catalyst. Okay, you not only should have a vision, but you should share the vision and share it with the people that follow you. And once you share it with the people that you follow you, that acts as a catalyst for their movement, right? That's the catalyst. If you don't give them the vision, that doesn't happen. I don't know how many institutions have this. When you recruit faculty, do you tell the faculty the vision of the institution? Do you tell your students the vision of the institution? Your team should know the vision. If that vision on where we want to go and why and how, that vision and what you see should be transmitted to the people that follow you. And that one will act as a catalyst. But culture is what we do for each institution. The culture is what you do. I mean, the way leadership occurs, growth occurs in an institution. How does promotions occur? What does the institution value? Okay, how much of value they play on ethics? What do they value that they play on professionalism? What sort of committees do you have in the institution? How does, those are all part of what we do. What do we do day in and day out? How do we, as faculty, is there a culture of being punctual? That's culture. Is there a faculty of being professional? That's culture. Do you have committees for, sexual harassment committees or harassment committees? That's culture. What do you value when you promote faculty? Do you just promote faculty based on recommendations, or do you promote faculty based on competence? That's culture. Now, culture is what we do. So though the vision is very important, culture more important than vision. Now, that is the law of process. Basically, your leadership should look at these two very, very vital areas. You should have a clear vision, and you should share that vision with your people. That acts as a catalyst. And focus and pay attention to the culture that you set it. And in that, that's what is very important as far as the law of process is concerned. So if you look at it, one of the cultures that we can look at is how do leaders grow in an institution? What is the culture of growth that you inculcated in the institution or the department? One way, that's how we can look at the 5 levels of leadership. This is basically from the same book that I talked about. So I'm going to pick out bits and pieces from there to sort of reflect on. And I thought it's a wonderful way to discuss leadership simply. So in the 5 levels of leadership, the first level, John Maxwell says, is the position level. Then it goes into the permission level, the production level, and development level, and the pinnacle. So what we'll do is we'll sort of dwell on each one at a time. Now let's take the position level. The position level is you have been given a position. You've been said you're the vice dean. You're the head of the department. The institution, based on your performance, your talent, whatever, it's a good thing that they have given you the position. But to understand that this position level is the lowest level. It is not the highest level. Position level, you reach the position, okay? And because of the position, you have certain rights. The key word here is rights. So people under you will follow because they have to follow. Now that's the key here. Leadership position is a little different from being a leader. You are given the position doesn't necessarily mean that you already become a leader, right? So this level 1, because of the rights that you have, people will do because they have to, not because they want to. You are the head of the department and you tell your people, your faculty or students, whatever, and say, send me that report. Come to work on time. Don't do this, do this. All that they'll follow because you are the head of the department. You have rights and they have to follow you. There's a big difference between have to follow and want to follow. The important thing here is this, that very often one of the major drawbacks with leadership is that when people begin to relate position to leadership, that's when the problem arises. If we realize that the leadership position that you've been given is the lowest level, okay, and not the highest level, then you're on your way, okay. But on the other hand, you worked in the institution for such a long time and suddenly somebody comes in and says, you become the vice dean. If you become the vice dean and you begin to think that you arrived, you achieved leadership, then you're going downhill. So it is very important to understand that leadership position is different from being a leader. Leadership position tells you only about that it is only the position that you've got. People under you do whatever they do because they have to, not because they want to. Now, this is one position when people follow you because they have to follow you, you don't know whether you're a leader. You may be a leader. You may have all the qualities of a leader. As long as people follow you because they have to, you still don't know whether you're a leader. So the moment people are following you because they have to, you don't know. At level 1, you don't know whether you're a leader. You've been given the position, okay, but you don't know whether you're a leader. But it's not a bad thing to be at level 1. To be given the position is an achievement. There's nothing wrong with that. But you have to realize that you've been given a position of leadership. And it is an opportunity now to become a leader. So the moment you get a position of leadership is different from becoming a leader. Getting a position of leadership is a wonderful thing. That's where all of us have to start. We all start there. The question is, you shouldn't stay there. It's a wonderful place to start, but not a good place to stay. That's the leadership position. That's position level 1, right? Now, one way to find out about this is this, that when people do, if you are in leadership level 1, and the people who follow you do what they do because they have to, not because they want to, one of the things that they tell themselves is, what is the least I can do to get away? If they're following you because they have to, in their mind, they tell themselves, what is the least I can do to get my promotion? What is the least I can do so that I don't get called by the superiors? What is the least I can do to get away from whatever? Yeah. So the example that John gives is that I don't know if it happens in your institution. Let us say, for example, your clocking out time is at 4:30. Okay, by 4 o'clock, people are already clearing up the desk. I don't know if that happens. They keep the your tiffin box in the bag, put the pen in and all that, pack up the bag, clean up the table, then walk around, talk to everybody and say, so see you tomorrow. Maybe we'll meet here, we'll do that. Because they don't want to do the packing and the talking in their time. They want to do all that in the institution time. Because 4:30 you have to log out, right? Sometimes people may walk into the loo, to the restroom, because they don't want to do that in their time. They want to do it in the hospital time. They go there. And they come back 5 minutes to 4:30, that 4:25, they come back to the table. Not really to do the work, but to pick up the bag and clean up the thing. And exactly at 4:30, they will go and sign out. Okay. And if you look at the parking lot at 4:40, you'll find that all the cars are gone. If that happens, you know your leadership is at level 1. People do what they do because they have to. Okay, so that's the level 1 of leadership. So it's absolutely important to understand this, because level 1 is a good place to start. You've been given an opportunity now to develop your leadership. So what do you do? How do you go to the next level? Let's look at the next level. What do you do? How do we move there? The next level is called permission. Basically, the people who follow you permit you to lead them. That's why it's called permission level. Okay. The key word, if you see that there, is the relationships. Okay. People follow because they want to follow. Now, that's a huge, big difference. Okay. If you move from level 1, position level, and people who were following you because they have to are suddenly following you because they want to, that's a huge jump. How do you get that done? How do you get that done? The key word is relationship. People don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. We've heard this before, and basically it relates to building relationships. At the end of the day, it's the most important part of leadership is building relationship. So what is the most important at the core of leadership is building relationship with your team members at the core. So what is the major elements of building relationships? So I just slipped in this one here because this sort of in between. We don't know which one comes first, chicken or the egg. Do they rely on their position because they never take time and effort to work with people, or they never take time and effort to work with people and therefore rely on their position? If you don't take time to work with people and build relationships, you will be forced to rely on your position. You'll say, you will do it because I'm saying so. How dare you talk back to me? You know, that sort of a thing. So you can understand this. It can go both ways, right? Whether the chicken or the egg. Now coming back to this, on permission level and relationships, the people under you, whoever you are, the faculty or your team members that you lead, they're going to basically be asking these 3 questions. In terms of relationship building, these are the 3 key questions that they're going to be asking you. First question, do you care for me? Do you really care for me, or is it what you're telling me and what you're telling me to do and all that? Is it going to be from my point of view? Do you care for me? The second one is, can you help me? Can you help me? The third one is, can I trust you? Are you keeping my interests in mind, or are you manipulating me? Can I trust you? 3 key questions. Now, if you look at these 3 key questions, essentially it relates to 3 things. The first one relates to compassion. Okay, you need to understand the people that work for you, your followers. You need to understand them in their totality, not just on their academic performance. I'm talking from a perspective of running a department of dermatology, or being the vice your faculty position. You need to understand them. They have a life, they have a family, they come from a particular background. They have their desires, they have where they want to go. Do you care for me? Compassion. Second one, if you look at it, is competence. Can you help me? Right? That's clear, isn't it? I mean, let's say, for example, you cannot help that person. You are not competent. You don't even know how to do surgeries. You don't know a laparoscopic surgery. How are you going to lead them? It's not going to work, right? In fact, one of the ways is they call themselves the travel agent type of leaders. You know what the travel agent type of leaders are? The travel agent will sit in his office. He's not visited Amsterdam. He's not visited New York. He's not visited Singapore, but he'll tell you, you go there, it's a wonderful place to go to. Sometimes if you don't have the competence, you're saying, I think you should do robotic surgery. I think it's a good thing for you, but you've not done anything there. So it doesn't work. You have to be competent. Can you help me? Okay, that's the second one. The third one, very important, is character. Can I trust you? That's character. So if you look at these 3 things, the compassion and character is all about, do you care for me and can I trust you is all about relationship building. Isn't it? The key things about relationship building is trust. Without trust, there is no relationship building. The first and foremost is trust. So here, the most important part of being a leader is to listen. Okay, is absolutely, you cannot know how to care or you cannot know how to help without listening. Now, listening is not, we all know about it, and I'm not going into the detail of it's not just the said words, there's so much more to listening. Okay, and you have to come down from where you are, where you think you are up above, come down, learn about the people that you follow, the team members, learn what their desires are, where they are. If you don't know where they are, you know where they have to go, but if you don't know where they are, you don't know how to take them there. So you have to find out that. You have to listen. You have to listen beyond the words. You have to listen to their challenges. You have to listen to their aspirations. Then you learn what the gap is, learn how you can help them, and then you lead them. So this listen, learn, lead, we can have a discussion just on that. Okay, so the point is about relationship building. So here I want to talk to you about something called the shortcuts. Okay. How long does it take for someone to form 11 opinions about you? You meet as somebody new. Okay, somebody new. I read this somewhere that in the first 11 seconds, okay, you make judgments about the people. I'm seeing Dr. Soumya for the first time on the screen, and I'm sure she's seen me for the first time, and already we know some opinions about each other. We like them, we don't like them, this and that, responsive, knowledgeable, friendly. We've already taken the shortcuts and made judgment calls. All of us do that. Okay, all of us do that in 7 seconds, supposedly. Okay, all of us do that. The important thing is to acknowledge that fact. It is important to acknowledge that fact that all of us have biases. If you look at it in relationship building, the thing that is the biggest barrier for relationship building is our biases, the baggage that we carry. You talk about, it could be language. You don't like Malayalis, you like Mangalorean, Mangalore. The political things could be there. Your beliefs, Christians versus Muslims, could be there. These people are dumb, these people from Andhra, they no way, given up, So we have carry biases like that, right? Sometimes they're good looking, not good looking, all those things, a lot of biases are there in our head. You have to notice the bias, acknowledge the fact that the biases are there and park them somewhere else. If you don't do that, that's the first thing that you have to do as far as relationship building goes. And relationship building is the key to forming trust. And that forming the trust is the key to the second level of leadership. Without that, you will not move to the second level. So if you look at it, the unconscious bias, I think the first thing is we have to get away from that. In fact, that's exactly, I didn't even do this reading, but when they gave me the vice dean position, the first thing that came to my mind, I have biases about the faculty in St. John's. There are certain people I really like, certain people I don't like. I think some people are cutting corners. All those things are there in my head. So the first thing that I had to tell myself is, I better keep all the biases aside and be impartial. Okay, it's absolutely important. For me, I use this quite a lot. And this is another one, a wonderful thing to look at. You can like people without leading them, but you cannot lead people without liking them. Absolutely important. It is impossible to lead people if you don't like them. Okay, if you think you can lead people without liking them, no, you're wrong. God, that's very, very important. Now, this is my favorite thing on looking at the glass, half full or half empty. In anything that we do, any interaction that we do, we always have this bias, isn't it? We can look at and say, you've got a bunch of students posted with you. You can look at the positives and say it's not a bad batch. They're trying hard and go for it. You could have, in every situation, we either look at the glass half full or half empty. Now, even at home, for example, you may be watching TV there in another room, and your wife drops a big vessel and a big noise comes in. The two responses. The glass half full means, what happened to you? Are you okay? Are you safe? The glass half empty is, you always do that when I'm watching news. Yeah. So two types of responses. So the same thing happens with in your department as well. I'm sitting in the OPD. I go there, and the OPD starts at 9 o'clock. I'm 8:55. I'm there in my room. The PT is supposed to be posted with me. He walks in at 9:30. Again, two responses. How dare you? If I can come 5 minutes to 9, how dare you come at 9:30? Half empty response. Half full response is, what happened? Give the benefit of doubt the other side and say, what happened? What is the reason? Okay, that's the. So you can be coming to the hospital, driving a car, on the way an auto rickshaw man cuts you. Two responses in everything. There is studies to show that when you start looking at things as glass half full on the positive, right? It does a lot of good, not to the others, a lot of good to you. Okay. And in leadership and relationship building and trust, it's always good to look at the glass as half full, right? And the other way to look at it is here is this. We recently had a program. We started an appraisal program in St. John's, and just 3 days back, and we had asked our director to talk on mentoring, and he told us a little bit of an anecdote which I want to share with you, and that's in relation to this. He says that if you look at our own identity, all of us think of ourselves as something, right? I think of myself as either I look good, I look bad, I'm a dermatologist, I'm a medical specialist, I'm competent, not competent, whatever. Okay, you have an identity in your head about who you are. Where does that come from? So when the baby is born, the baby has absolutely zero identity. Okay, baby has absolutely zero identity. The first words that the mother says is what tells the baby what the baby is, and that builds it. How the mother treats the child, baby, is what the baby begins to get an identity. Then the parents, then comes the teachers. And what the teachers tell you, okay, is what you think you are, right? You begin to develop identity as you go along. So he mentioned something about the prophecies, okay, self-fulfilling prophecies. And it's almost very similar. Self-fulfilling prophecies is this, that you call somebody and saying you're dumb. Okay, the person may be a smart person. You keep calling him that you are no good, you're dumb, I don't think you'll reach anywhere. And if he begins to internalize that, he may actually reach nowhere. So basically you've prophesized wrongly, but the prophecy came true. Even though the person had the capacity, your prophecy was saying that you will reach nowhere, and you kept on repeating it, and the prophecy came true. So there's a lot of self-fulfilling prophecies. If we tell ourselves that we are no good, we may know, if we keep on telling ourselves that we are no good, we may fulfill that prophecy. On the other hand, if we keep telling us that we are good, we may fulfill that prophecy. So the other way to look at it is whether you can or you cannot. You're right. Either way, right? So in a way, when you lead, the prophecies that can come true is all in what you look at it, right? If you look at that person as having something good, maybe the good things will happen, the team will build. Because sometimes it's very tough. There are some members under you who could be really tough. You just can't think of them as being good at all. Okay, it goes like that. So here I want to come to another point. Is the no glass is completely empty. Remember that everybody has something good in them. Okay. Now here I want to share with you what Ken Robinson, you may have heard about Ken Robinson, is a wonderful education specialist and whatever, wonderful talks. He talks about this Death Valley, okay, in the Nevada desert, okay, the Death Valley. This place doesn't get rainfall at all. And there is no vegetation at all. You can find, lizards and snakes and insects and whatever, but there is absolutely no vegetation. But supposedly, I think it was in 2002 or something like that, they, after many decades, they had rain. They had some, 7 to 10 centimeters of rain continuously for a couple of weeks. Okay. And when that happened, he says that the most wonderful thing was in the following spring, the entire valley, which was dead, became like this, got carpeted with flowers. Okay. And what he says, Ken Robinson says, is this is how it is. Sometimes when you look at the people under you, you see them as the desert, right? But remember, there may be those seeds there. Okay, given the correct environment, given the correct opportunity, they may blossom. Okay, so no glass is completely empty. Remember that there may be some spark inside. It is your job as a leader to listen and look for that and nurture them so that, and provide the correct environment so they blossom. Okay, so this is another way to look at it. This is level 2. Level 2 is all about relationship building. If we begin to pay attention to these things, hopefully people will not do the things they do because they have to. They will start doing the things because they want to, right? Of course, we have to also remember that you can't always be a goody person. Everything is good and praise and praise and praise. No, that doesn't work either. Relationships alone are not enough. Okay, I just want to raise that here because this part is something that we understand. And I want to show the other side of the coin. So this is level 2. Now, level 3 is about production. People follow because of what you have done for the organization. That is production level, right? Now, very often when we take up leadership position, you become the head of the department, we want our people under us, our faculty, to publish papers, to do major research, to be, develop this, develop that, do this. So you're straight away in your position level, your intentions are correct. You want them all to do and produce something, but you cannot go to the production level directly. You have to go through level 2. You have to build relationships. You have to build trust. You have to do all those things. Only then can you go to level 3. Okay, all of us, when we take up leadership position, especially the first couple of months, great ideas, wonderful ideas in our head. We want this happening, that happening. We want everybody to be like this. Everybody. We are already thinking of level 3 is where we want to be. But remember, you have to go through level 2 to go to level 3. So this is the production level. In production level, I want to talk about 3 things, basically. Okay. One is, in production level, you lead by example. You have to have something to give, otherwise you can't give. Okay, you have to be good, you have to lead by example. Okay, and in mentorship, I mentioned this as you have to be a mentor, but remember, you can also be a dementor. Okay, so role model doesn't necessarily mean good role model, you can be a bad role model. So just keep that in mind, but lead by example. Lead by example. And that is production level. You show them how it's done. You do it. You're developing these programs. You are taking up new areas. You're doing the cutting edge surgery. You're actually doing that stuff. You're actually doing that stuff. And so that's where they begin to follow you because of what you do, because of your competency level, isn't it? Don't we search and go and work under somebody who has that capacity? We actually search and go and work under them just to be, because they lead by example. Okay, so to be a leader, you have to lead by example. Now, this could be in the area of competency. It could be also in the area of, let's say, professionalism. If you are not being professional, how do you lead your followers to be professional? If you are the person who's taking bribes under the table for when you're looking at patients, how do you lead and tell your followers to be otherwise? You could be ethics. You could lead in many ways. I mean, you're the leader, you're the role model. That is the number 1 part of it. The number 2 absolutely important. If there is one thing about leadership, if you can reach the second one that I mentioned there, create momentum. If you can reach that level, that's the best that can happen as a leader. That's the most wonderful thing that can happen. Create momentum means like that. I'm just thinking to myself, let us say a surgical department, okay? And imagine a surgical department where they have huge grants from NIH, right? They're doing major research, innovations, okay? And they're getting patents for doing things. They're doing robotic search. They're moving up. Imagine the energy in that department when things are happening. When you have things like that happening, which means the department is already at level, the lid is at the level of 8 or 9. So if your lid is at the 8 of 9, you will be attracting people who are the 6 and 7s. Your lid is not at the level of 4. You're doing major cutting edge activities happening. You're publishing, you're in the National Guideline Committee, you're in the World Health Organization Committee, your institution is being represented there. Things like that are happening. And the people that walk in would be the level 8s and 9s who will join your team, right? And people will want to come there. Now, and because the 8s and 9s are coming, more activity is coming in. That is momentum. Look at the reverse. You're the leader. You are not even good at laparoscopic surgery. You're hardly doing any surgeries. You hardly come to the institution. Because of that, you are at level 4. Nobody wants to work. The good ones are not coming and joining at the department. You're getting the level 3s and 2s wanting to come and join the department. The number of patients in the department are becoming less. So the momentum is reversing, right? It becomes extremely important. The moment you create that momentum, it just adds on. It becomes geometric. The growth becomes geometric. Okay. So actually speaking, if our aim is to create momentum, if you can understand that will be the best thing that you can do as a leader. The third thing is we attract who we are, not who we want. Now, this is very similar to the law of the lid. If your competency level as a surgeon, as a leader, as whatever it may be, is at 5, you will attract only the 3s and 4s to join your department. You can't, even though you want the 8s and 9s to come in, you will attract only the 3s and 4s. So we attract who we are, not who we want to. Correct? So it's important, if there's one thing that I want to change, I change myself. That's what's the important point here. Now, this is the level of production. And the next level is reproduction. People follow you because of what you have done for them. Not the organization, but for them. This is where you begin to build more leaders, actually. Your team members, you're building them as leaders. Okay. You don't want them to be just team members. You want them each to be a leader. That's what happens in people development. So this is again a geometric growth when you do people development. There are 2 points that we can sort of dwell on and talk about. One is how you recruit. The second is how you equip. Let's take recruitment. And this is again from John Maxwell's thing, and he talks about the revolving door. When you have a place like this, you will have people coming in one side and people going out from the other side, right? Some people come in, some people go out. I think the same thing happens for all of us, isn't it? In our institutions, in our departments, people join and some people leave. Some people are joining, some people are leaving. The importance is not that. The important thing is who is joining and who's coming in and who's leaving. If the 6s and 7s and 8s are coming in and the 2s and 3s and 4s are going out, you're in a wonderful position. Your institution is in a great position. You would agree, right? Let's take the reverse. What if the 2's, the 7's and 8's and 9's are going out, and the 2's and 3's and 4's are coming in. That's not a nice situation, right? So that's all related to the law of the lid, correct? So that's what it is about. That is one thing. And the other thing is about when you say recruitment, this is what will happen. You would want the 7's and 8's to come in, but you will not get them unless your leadership level is at a higher level. You will get what you are, right? That you have to understand. So we have to lift ourselves. The other way is when you do recruitment, we have to know who we want. Okay, we just don't advertise and say there's a position vacant, anybody can apply. When you do that, the 2's and 3's and 4's can come in. You don't know who you want. But in recruitment, you better have a clear idea of what you want. You want people like this with this particular competency, with this particular qualification. You know exactly what you want. You headhunt and you bring them in. That's recruitment. Okay, but if you don't even know what you want, anybody can come and join in. And then you begin to lead. Now that's not how it works. So in this particular thing, recruitment is very important. Okay. Now, for example, we have a department of medical education at St. John's. At least we have the luxury of doing that. That's one of the conscious decisions we took, is that people will, even though there were so many times it was suggested that for the number of activities that we do, one person from each department should be a part of the medical education department. No, we said no. People who want to be part of the medical education department should come in voluntarily. So once in a while, once in 3 years or so, we put up a notice saying those interested may join. Okay. And so only those who are passionate about that area will join. Okay. And that's what we do. But we are constantly on the lookout. When we do conduct programs, we look at those stars, those particular sparks that we come across, we identify them, coax them, and somehow bring them into the department. Now that is knowing exactly what you want and recruiting them into the department. You don't just say anybody can join in and just put a rule and join in. No. So recruitment is absolutely important. This other thing is about the equip. Now, equip is very similar to, I think all of us will understand how we teach and, a procedural skill, for example. Let's say, for example, a surgical procedure or a lab procedure, okay? The first thing is we do it, right? And we demonstrate to them and they watch. And then we do it and they assist you. Then they do it and you assist them. Later on, they do and you watch. Those are the 4 levels. In leadership also, that's what happens. Let us say you start a program, and this is sort of, let's say I've started a mentoring program. From scratch, I do it. Then somebody from the department is going to be a part of my team. They begin to join me. Then later on, they coordinate it. You stand by to help. Later on, they take it on. And then you sort of give advice from the outside. And finally, they run the show. Okay. But equipping things ends only when they build another leader. They take on somebody else and demonstrate to them. Now you can take that for surgery. You can take that for a surgical technique. You can take that for leadership. So how you equip your people that follow you? You show them how it's done. Then you tell them to do it and you help them with that. And you take them in and they show it to somebody else. And that sort of continuous culture is what leadership is about. That's people development. Of course, the last level is are you asking this question to yourself? Which level am I? Is this question running in your head? Any answers, anybody? Anyway, so actually speaking, we are not at the same level with everybody under us, right? When I took up HOD-ship and I had 15 members in the HOD, Department of Medical Education, I was given a position. And in the position, I had the rights. And my relationship was a position relationship, all the 15. As a couple of years passed by, I started to build relationships. From among the 15, maybe 12 of them, I got some relationship going. 3 are difficult. So I have now a relationship level, permission level with about 12 of them. But 3 of them are still in the position level for me. Then maybe out of the 12, I have this production level 3 relationship, maybe with 7 of them. Maybe 3 of them I have made leaders already. So in a department or an institution, you will not have this level of leadership. It's not the same with everybody. It will be. So the message here is, it's not like management. Management is what you do right. No, whatever it has to be done right. So management is about doing things sort of similar. Your promotions occur in the same way. There's a particular SOP. You follow the SOP, no? Isn't it? That is management. No, it's not like that. No, we are not going to do the same thing to everybody under us. You have to do different things to the different. You have to relate to them differently and have a different relationship and a different strategy for different people in the department. You can't do the same strategy. So you have to understand that your level of leadership may be different with the different people who follow you. Okay. See, the other thing here is that, so the other thing here is, if you look at it, I'm not even touching the pinnacle level, because people who follow because of who you are and what you represent, this is the highest level of leadership. From Nelson Mandela, you can talk about people like that because of the respect that you have, and it's gone beyond these levels, right? So just understand this, that when you go from level 1, let's say you've been HOD, you've been given a position, you move from position to permission, you still have retained the position, but you've gone to the permission level. You don't lose out, you build on the first level. From the permission level, if you go to the production level, you still retain these levels, but you build on them. Okay, just remember, and you have different people at different levels, right? So these are the 5 levels of leadership. And I think in so many ways, I've done some reading, and sort of most of what you read relates to this. And I think as you go through this course and you find a lot of each of these areas will be discussed a little more in detail, and you begin to relate to and see that this actually follows this rule. So to summarize, we started with saying everything rises and falls with leadership. We talked about the law of the lid. We understand that now, the law of the process. Vision is extremely important, and so is culture. Culture definitely more important than vision. Vision is what we see, culture is what we do. And we talked about the levels of leadership. So thank you so much for listening. And now we could have any thoughts or discussions on your comments.
Thank you, sir. Actually, it was very, very nice, and with so many examples, it was very interesting. Reading, it was some of the things are gray areas, especially when the people development and when we progress, creating leaders from our own team. It was a very well said, sir. It was a good eye-opener. Thank you. So,
thank you.
Now,
is there any comments or suggestions or thoughts or reflections that we can share?
All participants, please feel free to discuss with sir so that we can have some more ideas. Because
excuse me, sir, Dr. Sohail here from BMC Srinagar.
Yes, sir. Tell me, sir.
Sir, very well appreciating it was an excellent description of different levels of leaderships, and I was glued to my seat throughout this past 60 minutes. Just I want to ask is that apart from all these things that you discussed, sir, one other aspect is how to handle maybe some few hostile members.
Conflicts.
Not conflicts, because maybe they have some grievances that why he, why not me, the leader, like that, things like that. So it's always in their mind to disobey you. Maybe in the future we can discuss that, but just a question that crossed my mind.
That is true, sir. The thing is, let me say right at the beginning that there may be some elements that are beyond. I mean, those are the extreme outliers. You can't do much about that. But on a general basis, if you take the in between 90% of the people,
right.
That thing I told about the biases and the glass being half full, I think is extremely important. When we start looking at them differently, okay, one of the things that has an experience, if I want to share from my own thing, many years back, more than 15 years back, we did a study on the syndromic management of sexually transmitted infection. And we collaborated with the University of Manitoba. And the microbiologist was one, Ian McLean. Okay, he came from University of Manitoba. And when he visited us here, in our deliberations, one of the things that hit me very hard was they did not hold back anything. They had a wonderful idea. They just said, why don't we do this HSV? Why don't we look at the OD values? And this may relate to that. Why don't we do a study? It was a little different for me, because till that time, people, when they had a good idea, they want to keep it for themselves. They didn't share it, because what if that person publishes it before me, all those things. But this particular thing was very fresh. And so I told myself that I will follow this if it's possible. Okay. And thereafter, I will force myself, even if inside me something tells me, I may force myself and share everything that I have. Okay, whether it is ideas, my material, PowerPoint, whatever thoughts come to me, I will never hold back. But I'm telling you, when you do that, the reaction that you get from the others is a multiplied positive that you get. They begin to see you less threatening. They begin to see you as a colleague. And the positives are really fantastic. Okay, I've experienced that over the years. And it's become a sort of a nature now. I don't even think twice if any thoughts come, no matter who it is. I'm just saying. So I think this thing about the glass half full that I talk about and how we approach it may be really important. The moment you begin to look at something that's positive on the other side, they also look at something that's positive on your side. And I agree with you. There are certain, the outliers we can't do much about. Okay, they are the outliers. We are talking about that 90%, isn't it? I think the outliers will be a challenge, and there may be methods to do that. But if we can follow this, I think it works very well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Maybe as sir is telling, like the outliers, if we keep on concentrating on the outliers, then we will lose the core team members.
No, like I said, when you need to censure somebody for something, that censuring has to happen. I suppose that bit is there a little bit. But by and large, even there, if we begin to look at that, there is a reason that side, maybe something, you may find it most of the time. We have to follow that for the 90% of the people. The last 5%, 10% who are doing it, they may be pathologically, something is there. Yeah, I guess so. You can try sometimes, and after some time, when you have to censure, you have to censure. But for us, for leadership in general, for discussion, I think the point we have to get across is to look at and say, what works for most of the 90% is what we're looking at.
Basically, sir, my concern is that suppose you are trying some way to maybe convince them or somehow getting along with them.
Yeah.
But you feel that these maybe 1 or 5 or 10% people, they are just creating hindrances in delivering the things. The things.
Yeah.
So as a leader, what should be the best way, if we see in a nutshell, to do away with them simply, or just because the bit that you are trying to do for a longer time, but still they are creating the problem?
No, I'll give you one more example. I don't want to name people here. But my own example, in my own department, there was one person who we built this department pretty well. Everybody gelled with it very nicely. But there's one person who was not coming in for the meetings regularly. You appear to be very smart, come on the right time, and somehow get away with as minimum as possible, right?
Right.
So one thought in your head, the devil side of you told you, we have to fix this person. Keep an attendance and chuck him out of the department. That's one part of the way you can approach it. And we could have done that actually. But the other side of the story was, why didn't I chat with him and, see if I could one to one, not in the open department. And I actually did that. And I said, see, I'm going to be frank about it. This is what the challenge I'm having with you. Okay. This is what I think is happening. And I'm not saying that this will work all the time, but in this incident, I could have taken one of two ways. I could have ensured that the attendance record showed, and there's a memo going, and then chuck him out of the department. But when I spoke to that person, he gave me sort of a semi-valid reason why that was happening. But there was a little bit of, yes, I am sorry, and this and that. And slowly the thing turned. I think the thing turned only because maybe he felt that I respected him in some way. Okay, or maybe that's what, if at all there's a chance, like we talked about the desert, we have to give a little bit of a chance for that to come out. Maybe things will work. But you're right, there are certain situations which are challenging. After a certain time, we'll be fools not to go on that way. I mean, there's a limit to everything, I suppose. There's no, formula like that. Yeah.
Sir, good morning,
Yes.
sir.
Yeah.
So I have this thing, how to develop this management skills, sir.
So that's what I'm saying. No, the management skills, and I suppose somebody is going to talk about it in subsequent sessions on management versus leadership. So okay. So in leadership, I think the 5 levels give you some insight into how we can develop ourselves as leaders. Okay, and like I said, I think to myself that that the first message that came out with this presentation was your position is not leadership. Okay, we have to work beyond that. The most strongest thing is about relationship building. Okay, and I talked about relationship building and said how you build trust. If you work on that, you will be a leader. Okay, there's no question about that. And of course, your competence level. Yeah, I mean, you can't be a leader without taking care of your competence level. You have to be good at the things that you do as well. Okay, so those are things, and that there are 2 ways to look at this. And somebody said every pinnacle, okay, every loneliness is a pinnacle. This is Ayn Rand. If anybody's read Ayn Rand, the book, every loneliness is a pinnacle. So in fact, John Maxwell tells it the other way around. What it means is this: if you're so good, you've reached, you're the top the scientist, the person who has the maximum research thing, you've reached a very high level. As you reach, very few people reach that level, right? Once you reach a very high level of competence, there are not many people in your level. You become lonely on top. You're only the only person on top, right? So when you're very, very competent and things, so what happens is that you don't mind others coming to that level. You want to reach down and pull the other people up because you want people there, right? But on the other hand, if you're mediocre, when you're mediocre is where you begin to suddenly feel threatened, right? You feel that the other person may catch up with you. And all this. So sometimes if you find that in your thing and say that I will not support this activity, I will not support this for this person, and something tells you that by doing that, that person may climb over you, that means you're already mediocre. You're threatened by somebody else. Okay.
Yes.
Isn't it? So for us to be competent, I think is very important to be there. Okay. And to be able to go down and be, you should be able to give freely. Then only you can lead. You should have the other person's interest. See, the other thing is that I told you about trust, right? Now, trust, I don't know if some session will cover that in your course, trust versus manipulation, okay? As a leader, that's one thing that you will have from an institution point of view, there are certain things you want happening. But as a department head, you have to lead your department. Sometimes this thing will come. You want them to change opinions based on institutional needs. Okay. There's an element of manipulation that will also come in. Okay. These things are sensed very easily by the people who follow you. The moment they feel manipulated, you lost trust, you lost relationship, you falling down to position 1. You lead only by position.
By the position.
Yeah. So if you look at it, relationship building, trust building, sort of seems to be the key to take you forward.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, sir.
I had this doubt. So based on your talk, am I to understand that position is the core of leadership, or you can be kind of a leadership, like for example, do you need an administrative post of an headship or a vice dean or whatsoever to actually make some contribution as a leader, or even without the administrative post, as you go higher in the hierarchy?
You're absolutely right. I mean, you can lead even without position, I guess. Okay, you don't have to be given a position to lead, but if you're given a position, that the point I was trying to get at is the position itself is not leadership. It is an opportunity to grow as a leader. But you are absolutely right. If you want to be a leader, you don't have to have position. You can lead otherwise as well. But is that the question that you're asking, that do you need a position to be a leader?
No, that is possible, sir, but probably it will be more effective. Like when you have
easier perhaps, because you're already starting on certain rights and you've been given certain people under you, right? And you can do that, yes.
So, but based on your concepts or the core that you're trying to get across to us, is it the core of leadership, or it is just a part of the leadership?
Which the position?
The position.
Position is the starting point. We're talking about leadership. Position is a starting point for me. Okay. One way to look at, for example, the Department of Medical Education here, St. John's. Okay. It's not like the other departments where it is a MCI mandated department, dermatology, surgery, you know, the medical education unit just formed by people who are passionate about that area. There was no compulsion from anybody for us to do anything. We can do it if we want to. We don't have to do it if we don't have to. That's how we started, because all of us were passionate about that area. And once we began to do that and started doing programs, people began to come and join the group. Now that, without position, we were able to lead in that direction. You know what I'm saying? It is possible. But when you get a position, it's a wonderful thing that your talents and your achievements have been acknowledged and you've reached a position. Only thing is, at that point when you reach a position, don't mistake it for that you arrived at leadership. It's only the starting point as an opportunity to lead further. Okay, you may be a fantastic leader in the position. As long as people are doing only because they have to, you don't know whether you are a leader yet. You know, you may have everything that is there, but you have to move beyond that. So all I'm saying is that when you get a position, it's not a bad thing. It's a wonderful thing. It's like you said, it's a great advantage, and you are in a position to grow as a leader. You have been given an opportunity to be a leader. Okay, it's a good thing, but just to have an understanding that that's the starting point. That's not the top point.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity. It was wonderful. And
thank you, sir. It was really a very good interactive session, and we could get the experts from your experience. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Nice.
Bye.
So, all participants, I think you all had a very good session with sir, and I hope you would have got the answers for the pre-test also. So I think we'll give you the post test in a short while, but before that, a few more people have joined us who were not in the previous session. So for the benefit of them, and two of our participants have asked us to say about our course, because the entire detail they were not aware, I suppose. So for their benefit, I will just briefly share the course details. Please don't worry, I won't take a longer time.
Click on the screen.
So this is a course for certificate course on leadership by the SBV University, Sri Balaji Vidayapeeth University, and the to inculcate the essential components of leadership, practice the roles and responsibilities. Actually, it is not only theoretical. That is why we'll be having more of these interactions, group activities and assignments, where we'll be discussing on how to improvise our own selves. It's not that we are the resource person and you are the participants. We are also learning from you. And to practice creativity in the daily settings and encourage the same with the entire team of ours. Describe the ideal modes of communication at various situations. Analyze the practice of medical ethics and encourage debate on the same, and to identify the modalities of training the future leaders. So this is mainly to make ourselves a worthy leader to follow, and to inculcate these components, leadership components in our team members, and to make good leaders from them. So for this, we are having 6 modules in a period of 6 months. So the total duration is 84 hours. That means 48 hours of online sessions. So weekly once we are having 2 hours online session, and roughly 36 hours of self-learning and assignment, so that we'll be having 4 credits by the UGC norms. So by UGC norms, we are having for the teaching online sessions, 3 credit hours, because 16 hours becomes 1 credit hour by UGC norms. So for the online sessions, we are having 3 credit hours. For the self-learning and assignment, the practical session, we are having 36 hours, which accounts to 1 credit by UGC norm. And the time frame is 2 hours online session each day on Thursday of every week. Assignment will be given on the topic, and these modules, each module will have 4 topics and self-practice of the learning. So the first module which we are going through now, it is on leadership building. We had already 1 session completed on leadership characteristics and styles, and today is the 5 steps in leadership. So we have 2 more sessions where we will be discussing on leadership in situations and the ethics of leadership. So the second module in February will be on leadership mentoring, where we'll be discussing on conflict resolution, stress and time management and team dynamics. The third module on creativity will be handling creative thinking techniques and applications, and how to bring out the best in our people and our own selves, implementing the innovative ideas and how to react to criticism. Module 4 will be on communication. So everything about the communication skills, impact generation, interpersonal communication and health communication toolbox. All these will be discussed in detail in this module. Module 5 will be professionalism and ethics, where we will be discussing on the empathy and upholding values, ethics in the era of medical technology and electronic health record, and decision making in uncertain environments, followed by prioritization of tasks and goals. The final 6th module is on facilitating future leaders, where we will be discussing on change management, active listening, making the right choice, creating passion for medical teaching and research in future generations. So these are the 6 modules. And the eligibility for completion, getting the awarding the completion certificate to the participants is a minimum of 80% attendance for the online modules and participation in the group activities, completion of all the assignments in all the 6 modules, and the certification will be given by Sri Balaji Vidayapeeth University. So we have 2 more sessions on this module. The next module, next topic will be on 21st January, which will be on leadership in situations by the Dean in charge of MGMCRI, Dr. Sitesh Ghosh. And on 28th January, we will be having the ethics of leadership, crisis within crisis by Dr. Dinesh Kumar from JIPMER. So these are the specific learning objectives of module 1, which is on leadership building, where we are going to identify the characteristics of leadership that we have done in the previous session. Practice the steps to develop the leadership qualities. Now, in this session, we know what are the 5 steps, and we will be trying to do the self-assessment and self-practice on the steps how to develop the leadership qualities within our own setup, and identify the various situations to step up the situational leadership, recognize the challenges faced in day-to-day practice, and uphold ethical practice and regular and challenging situations. So this is the utmost important thing. Whatever we do, it has to be within the framework of the ethical practice. So this is the most important one we'll be discussing on. And all these characteristics, all these styles and all these steps, they should be leading us as a very ethical leader, and we should always be practicing within the framework of ethics, whether it is in regular situation or in challenging situation. This is going to be now. This is about our module. I think all your doubts are cleared, and actually we wanted to discuss about the timings. Many of you have expressed difficulty of attending during 11 to 1 this period of time, because so many classes and other things are going on. So if we arrive at a consensus, if all of you agree with, we can shift it to 2 to 4 p.m. Will it be okay? I would like to get your opinion about this, because it should be convenient for all the participants, and you should be able to contribute to the discussions. That is the main idea. We are anyway sharing the resource material, and we are anyway sharing the PowerPoint presentation, because we are giving the live YouTube link also to you. But the main idea is you should be able to discuss with the speaker and discuss with all your colleagues. So that is the main idea. So I want you all to be physically present online and take part in the active discussion also. So if it is okay for you from 2 to 4 p.m., then we can try to shift the timing from February onwards, because you should please give us some time. The other 2 sessions, we have already spoken to the resource persons, and they have agreed to the time from 11 to 1. So in January, there are 2 more sessions. We would like to keep it during this time, because suddenly we cannot ask the resource persons to shift. Will that be okay? You can unmute and tell also. Okay, yeah. I'm seeing this in the chat box. Fine. So I think most of you are comfortable with the 2 to 4 p.m. We will try to do that, but please give us some time to organize for that. And we will let you know through the WhatsApp group. Now we have created the WhatsApp group, and the Google group also is there. Please post whatever discussions you want to have also, because leadership is not a fixed framework. It is a process, and it is a journey we are taking together. So even if you want some other discussions to bring out, you can tell us, and we can let our resource persons know about it, and we can have active discussions going on in those lines also. Today we have the post test as well. We will post you the questions, and please try to answer them. And for the assignments also, you have asked doubts whether it has to be submitted every week. The assignments you can submit at the end of the module. So January first topic, we have given you the assignment. So this topic assignment you can submit by the end of January. So before 31st January, you can submit it, so that we can start the next module fresh. Anything else you want to discuss, or any other clarifications required, please feel free to tell out. Yes, you have asked for the PowerPoint slides of Professor Parija. Yes, sir. We'll be sending all that. Give us some time because all the participants have joined the Google group only now. So we were waiting till everyone is there in the group so that it will reach all of you. We will send. So if there is no more discussion, shall we close the session? Okay, so have a nice weekend, and we have just shifted it to Tuesday because Thursday is going to be the festival and holiday here in this part of our country. So we will meet you on 21st January, and in between, if there is any other queries or clarification, please feel free to post it. Thank you all.
I asked her to send the post test.